Go.
Thanks for joining us once again on News of the South. I do hope you are enjoying all the interviews we are bringing you every single day. And tonight I will be speaking to a Zimbabwean politician, Gilbert Navonika. He's based in the United Kingdom. So I'm just waiting for Mr. Navonika to connect with us here, and we will begin the discussion. We're going to be talking about the recent rescindment of Zimbabwe's president appointment as the Goodwill Ambassador for the United Nations. So we're just waiting for Mr. Navonika to come online and our discussion will commence. You are free to take part in this discussion. You can type in your comments on the live feed, and maybe after speaking to Mr. Navonika, we can speak to one or two people who would like to comment and let everyone know what they think about this whole process. Earlier on, I did speak to one ZANU-PF UK-based member, Mr. Itai Choto, to catch up with this interview. You can do so on our YouTube channel. It's News of the South on YouTube, and you can also check out the website, www.newsofthesouth.com. Mr. Navonika, are you there?
I'm here. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Welcome once again, News of the South. We're happy to have you and discuss with you the recent rescindment of Zimbabwe's President Robert Mugabe of his appointment as Goodwill Ambassador. Okay, so Mr. Navonika, what do you think? What are your thoughts, your comments on this recent announcement?
Well, good evening to you, and good evening to everybody who's watching. I just think it is a shame, really, for a whole World Health Organization to even contemplate or consider putting a person like President Robert Mugabe as a Goodwill Ambassador. I think it was a mockery and an insult to the people of Zimbabwe, because if you look at the system that Robert Mugabe presides over, the health system is not working. I'll give you an example. His child could not give birth in Zimbabwe. She had to go somewhere outside the country, which means they have no trust in their own system. So employing him as a Goodwill Ambassador, I think, is a real shame. And I'm glad that they've rescinded their decision, which was absurd and laughable. And I think common sense has prevailed at the end of the day.
Okay, probably they made that decision to appoint him as Goodwill Ambassador based on the fact that during the last couple of years, Zimbabwe has been doing so well in the health sector, but things have just deteriorated because of the economic problems which are being caused by the sanctions. Would you think that could have been the reason why he was appointed in the first place?
Well, I wouldn't know the criteria to choose somebody to become a Goodwill Ambassador, but of course, I think you have been witnessing the uproar on the social media and many different platforms. It angered a lot of Zimbabweans, and I'm sure that whichever criteria they used, I think it was a wrong criteria, because Robert Mugabe is not fit to be an ambassador of anything. Because he has let down so many people, and the country that he presides over, the system is not working. I heard you mention the word sanctions in there. I think if we want to marry the two, then we might go off tangent of the actual discussion at hand. So I'm just happy that Mugabe is no longer an ambassador of who we're trying to do, because it brings into disrepute the work that UN and World Health Organization are doing. Mugabe is
Okay,
not fit to be an ambassador.
okay, so when you look at this whole issue, you can see that the WHO appointed Robert Mugabe, fully knowing what has been happening and what is happening in Zimbabwe at the moment. Um, do you think do you think that they could have done it in a better way? You know, like they just announce it and then they are listening to what the people are saying. The people are complaining what about the appointments, and they've decided to reverse the decision.
Well, I think that's what they should have done in the first place. Maybe the person who made that decision should have gone and visited our health system to just see how, the state of it. So they, spare some blushes, because now it's an embarrassing thing for them, and also for Mugabe himself as well. I think it's an embarrassing thing. I know one minister, I think Minister Mzembe, said it's who's lost, for rescinding the appointment. But I don't think, who has lost much here. So is who's lost what in this instant. But I think Mugabe is just is just is just not good enough to become an ambassador.
Okay, following recent activities that have taken place, you can see that WHO has listened to the people who have complained, but they're not listening to the cries of Zimbabweans out there. Zimbabweans are crying every day about the health system, but WHO is not helping anybody. It's not helping Zimbabweans, if I may say. What's your take on that? They are quick to react to complaints about disappointment of Robert Mugabe's Goodwill ambassador, but to the cries of the Zimbabweans who are suffering, who can't get tablets, who can't get drugs treatments. They're not doing much to help them. What's your take on that?
I think as much as I want to say who or UN are credible or reputable organizations, I also have concerns about what in the points that you are raising, because we can safely agree that in certain areas of Zimbabwe, we don't have enough medical equipments to treat basic illness, sorry, or ailments, sorry. So it's a shame that they reacted very fast in terms of rescinding the decision that they'd made. I think maybe on what they perceived to have seen that Zimbabwe is doing or has been doing great. I don't know which criteria is that, but it is a shame. I think in a way, I think it is a joke. That World Health Organization, I think they've lost credibility in and respect of many stronger nations, and other, even the ordinary Zimbabweans.
Okay, you are a politician and obviously a change maker. From your point of view, what needs to be done in Zimbabwe right now to change the health system?
Well, I think change is only going to come when we have a new government in place, because it is safe to say that ZANU-PF are not going to reform. ZANU-PF are not going to change anything in Zimbabwe. And it is a shame also that for the past 37 years that Mugabe has been the president, we have seen a lot of things go down the drain. Everything that he has touched is just, they've just been destroying it. So for us to have a better working health system, we need to have a new government that can now invite or privatize the health sector. As some of the in some of the countries, we see in today's world, they privatize the health sector. That will help, lessen the burden on the government. So I don't know how the government of Zimbabwe right now can save Zimbabwe's ailing health system.
So, in the event that Robert Mugabe is re-elected as Zimbabwean president in 2018, are you saying that the health system is going to continue the way it is because the same government is in power? Isn't there something else that the nation can do, or every other Zimbabwean, whether in Zimbabwe or in the diaspora, can take part to improve the situation?
Our problem is, I think, the government of Zimbabwe is not a progressive government. So you find out that there is time that some people had wanted to do business in Zimbabwe, but we've got greedy ministers who want a cut out of any dealings. So how can you then have trust and confidence in a government that is so corrupt? So corruption is the biggest cancer that we face at the present minute, and anything that other people might be willing to do, they are pushed back because they don't, have confidence in the government anymore. So people are holding back with their monies. As you can see right now, people are not even trusting our banking system. So, let alone somebody trying to build a hospital or build a school, because somebody at the top in any kind of ministry wants you to pay before they can grant you the right to build. So that is not right.
So, shall we safely say that in the event that President Robert Mugabe is re-elected, what needs to be done is the total clean out of the cabinet and maybe appoint new people? Obviously, people who've not been in power, like the ministers you've said and described as being corrupt.
Well, I don't think Mugabe. We should, well, I don't want to think of Zimbabwe with Mugabe, a 94-year-old president. I want to see how it feels to have a new president as well. So I'm hoping that the people of Zimbabwe are going to unite and vote ZANUism and ZANU out. Because if we are thinking and planning with Robert Mugabe, who has been there since 1980, where are we going as a people? Are we saying Mugabe is the only best option? Right now, they want to make Zimbabwe into a monarchy because, there are rumors out there that even the ZANU-PF Youth League, they are pushing for Grace Mugabe to be the second vice president, or if not the first vice president. So it is a shame if we allow that to happen beyond 2018. 2018 should be the last of the Mugabes and ZANUism, because ZANUism has killed and crippled our beautiful nation.
Okay, in the event that that happens, what are Zimbabweans supposed to do about it?
Sorry,
Or
say
what,
that again.
in the event that they create the monarchy that you've just spoken about, what are Zimbabweans supposed to do about it? Should it happen? What
Right.
can
Right. Let me say, at the present minute, I think what is important is not to think of a Zimbabwe with the Mugabes and their friends, and I think at the present minute is we should be uh, encouraging and inspiring one another to go and register and vote in numbers, overwhelming the system. At the present minute, it's a bit disappointing that the numbers are very low. A lot more work needs to be done. A lot more of the spreading of the gospel needs to be done. A lot more education and visiting people needs to be done, both by the political parties, civic movements, even churches, just to encourage everyone to go and register and vote, and make sure that next year, when voting comes around, we are going to vote in our numbers, and take Zimbabwe back, because we don't want to continue living under the same misrule which has seen our country from a breadbasket of Africa to a basket case of the world.
Okay, as a politician, what steps are you taking in ensuring that people go and register to vote? Of course, besides speaking to us here at News of the South, is there anything else that you are doing in sidelines to encourage people to register?
Yes, there's a number of things that we're doing. We've got a lot of online campaigns. We've got also people doing door-to-door services. We've got also people who are going into the deep rural areas. So it is important to mention groups like Zimbabwe Adzoka, Tajamuka, This Flag, lots of civic movements that we are working with to make sure that the message is going out there. And I also want to urge normal Zimbabweans that it is our duty to, inspire one another, to mobilize one another. We shouldn't wait for politicians. We shouldn't wait for political parties to inspire us or to urge us to go and vote. Because the Zimbabwe that we want does not only belong to politicians. The people that suffer are the people at the bottom. So the commoners are, or the end users are those who are going to suffer at the end of the day. Many politicians, have got jobs, or have got good salaries. So whether you vote for them or you don't vote for them, they are just going to back to their normal jobs. And you are going to, continue suffering without jobs. Imagine somebody who has graduated with a very good grade selling airtime. It is a shame. And we don't want to live in a Zimbabwe that we don't have people with dreams and hopes. What has happened to our dreams? Our dreams have been stolen by the misrule of Robert Gabriel Mugabe and his cronies, and they are the ones who are benefiting from the system. Yet these guys are our servants.
Okay. On Friday, National People's Party President Dr. Joyce Mujuru signed the coalition, Rainbow People's Coalition. What is the
Yes.
advantage? Yes, what is the advantage of this coalition from your point of view, and how are Zimbabweans to benefit from this?
Well, anything that is done by the principals is the will of the people. So what the people decide, that's what the principals do. So the Rainbow or the Freedom Train is just a coalition that joins forces because we don't want to leave anyone behind. I hear some people saying, why do you join forces with small parties? But I believe every little helps, and everybody who has got anything to offer to Zimbabwe should not be left behind. And the door is still open for many other political parties to join so that we have fewer leaders to choose come 2018 on the ballot paper.
Okay, from your point of view, do you think there's a chance that this Rainbow People's Coalition will get into another coalition with the NDCT and the Changirais group? Do you think NPP is still considering getting into coalition with that group, with that team?
Well, there was a memorandum of understanding which was signed earlier this year, if you recall. So there's no ruling out any pact again for the two alliances. So I wouldn't want to say it's not happening at the present minute or it's happening at the present minute, because some of these things, they are done behind the scenes, and behind the scenes work is not usually out for public consumption. But when it's done, I think everybody would know, and this is what also people are calling for. So the will of the people must always prevail, and if that's what is wanted by the general populace of Zimbabwe, so let's be it.
Okay, Mr. Gilbert Navonika, politician for National People's Party, United Kingdom. Thank you so much for speaking to us at News of the South. Tomorrow we will be speaking to a representative from the UK, from the Build Zimbabwe Party. If you'd like to join us tomorrow, same time, we will be right here at News of the South. And if you'd like to catch up with all the interviews we've done the whole of last week and this coming week, you can do so by catching us and subscribing to us on YouTube. It's News of the South channel on YouTube. And you can visit our website. It's www.newsofthesouth.com. We are on Facebook. You can get us on Twitter. You can get us on, you can get us on LinkedIn as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Navonika, and we do hope to speak to you soon.
Thank you very much for this lovely interview. I wish you all the best. I hope to speak to you soon. And I just want to, thank World Health Organization again for seeing sense and rescinding the decision to make R.G. Mugabe a Goodwill ambassador. But on another note, also let's inspire and encourage one another to go and register to vote. The change that we need and the change that we require in Zimbabwe is ushered by none other than ourselves. So, in the meantime, when the registration process is still open, let's mobilize one another, let's spread the word, and let's continue working hard. God bless you and God bless Zimbabwe.
Thank you.